Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Are we back? Are we happy? Great. So, welcome back from the drive. Many of you have seen that it is important for us to show the rest of the world who we are and how we do our things. So, those of you who joined us on the drive, welcome back and thank you for that effort. I would like us now to go to the program. As I mentioned earlier on, we have quite distinguished panel before us. And this team is basically going to talk to us about revenue, about cars and motoring, about the company itself, and about insurance. And so I'd like to invite one of our panelists, and you'll join us here as I announce you. Mr. Edward Hire, please join us. And as he comes, please give him a warm round of applause. Edward is the Business Development Manager for Retail at CIC General Insurance. You're very welcome. As our panelist, he has over 15 years of experience in insurance, ranging from qualitative risk management, strategic planning, marketing, business model design, and implementation, and basically business development. He has served at various senior management levels at AIG, another insurer, handling underwriting, marketing. He also has been part of the team that set up the first company-run insurance academy in partnership with Insurance Institute of Uganda, and has launched specialized products in cyber insurance and insurance packages for kidnap and ransom, which I believe is very commendable. He has a degree in actuarial science from MUK. He's a member of the OAKSEED Executive Leadership Program, run by the Institute of National Transformation, and is also an alumni of the Chartist International Professional Associate Program from New York. Ladies and gentlemen, let us please welcome again Edward. Thank you for joining us. Our next panelist is, Edward is actually joining, representing the team from CIC General Insurance. So again, thank you and welcome. Questions that we'll be posing to him are going to be related to insurance, because with your cars, of course, there are certain packages that you need to understand. Many people ask about third party. It's a topic which many people don't understand, but hopefully that will be among the questions for today. Allow me to also welcome from Uganda Revenue Authority, the Customs Manager, Warehousing, Mr. Regan Basoga. You're very welcome to our panel. When you see URA here, please, it's not about only taxes. It's also here to enlighten us about a number of things. Our next panelist joining us here is also the Managing Director of Duke Car Technology Uganda, Mr. Paul Duke Kaganzi. You're very welcome. Everything motoring, he's an encyclopedia. So throw at him any question about your cars, he will answer them here for you. And last but not least, our host, the CEO of Kabugizi Enterprises, Mr. Benedict Kabugizi. Please join us here. He's also going to be on the panel, and he's going to talk to us about why we're here and, of course, what this launch is all about, but especially to help us understand the vision and how Kabugizi Motors eventually came to be. So I will just request that Benedict, you pick up the microphone, because the next set of questions I'm going to send to you are really concerning Kabugizi Motors. For those of you who are joining us online, thank you again and welcome. We are here officially for the launch of the Kabugizi Motors company, part of a bigger group called the Kabugizi Enterprises. So please pick up the microphone right next to you there. I know you're busy working and ensuring that the cars on the ship are arriving anytime soon, but the microphone is now your friend. Benedict, tell us about Kabugizi Motors launch. Why are we here?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Val. I'm really pleased to have you here. So the main reason why we're here is that we are launching this product, the Kabugizi Motors. It's one of the products under Kabugizi Enterprises Limited. Kabugizi Enterprises is the mother product company. And under that, we have general supplies. We also have our star product. For those who have done marketing, if you look at some of the classification of the products, we have a star product, the cash cow, and all that. So Kabugizi Motors is one of our star products. So we are pleased to launch it today. Mainly, we do car importation under this product with a niche in online importation. We have quite a number of cars, quite a number of partners. That's in Japan. We get cars from Japan, UK, and just like we'll be taking you through the process of importation and the assurance you should have, and that's paying why you're here, to give you confidence and to give you hype this company and tell you that we are here to serve you, and we're here to serve you the best in line of car importation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Ben, there's a trend now. Many people are now going online, as opposed to previously giving someone, you go to the bond and you walk around, look at a car, and you select and pay. People are now turning more to online car purchases. Can you tell us why this is now an attraction? Why are more people going online to look for cars and select their own models of preference? And why is it really important?
Thank you so much, Val. Just like we shall be hearing, there's an evolution in every industry. So the current trajectory of cars is now taking online importation. So just like Regan will be taking you through, just in the recent years, there has been a revision in the importation policy. And I think that's what most countries have revised. But in Uganda here, we have also revised. And most cars that are required to be imported are 2008, okay? The make of 2008, the year of manufacture. We'll be going into the deeper nitty-gritties of the difference between the year of manufacture, the year of registration, but mainly the year of manufacture that is considered for most cars, it has to be 2008, as required by URA. And I'm sure Regan will be describing to us why that. I think it's somehow because of the world environmental concerns, they need to reduce on the emissions on the carbon emissions from these vehicles. So there has been a limit. And that tells you that most cars which are 2008 and above, there is a slight increase in the pricing. That's in terms of tax and as well as in terms of the cost itself, the CIF. CIF really refers to the cost, insurance, and the flight of the car. It may not be a flight on the plane, but still when they're doing shipping, it's also flight. So maybe those who will be doing imports, if you ever go to buy a car and you're having a discussion with this importer, when it's there of CIF, CIF is talking of the cost, insurance, and flight. So when it tells you C and F, that means there is no insurance. And that's why you have the insurance people here. So you have to consider CIF. Or in any case, CIIF. The CIIF here, we're talking of the cost, insurance, inspection, and flight. Because most of these cars which come here, by requirement of UNBS, they have to be inspected. And that's what we do as Kabugizi Motors. We must make sure that every car that comes here through us, it's well inspected. We even attach a UNBS certificate, okay, to ensure the quality of the car. So now, to answer the question straight is that there has been so much need for car importation, which is online, because the importer who is going to be having a bond is going to be somehow constrained to shipping those cars of 2008, 2014, and to know that the 2008 car has to pay the taxes from the port, okay? So for this person to bring the car and keeps it in the bond at that slightly higher price, when he has not gotten the buyer, the economists know it's the time value of money, okay? You be incurring a lot of time having that car kept in the bond when you are not yet assured of the buyer, okay? So the trajectory is going to change, and you find that most people have to order on order, okay? And preferably it has to be online. So that means the market has to understand that there is this possibility of ordering online, and even the bond dealers, they also are embracing this process because they are so much likely to shift this trend of ordering cars on order. Order on order means he comes, he has an order, then you order online. Okay? So that's the new trajectory. So you really notice that even when the URA guys are going to give you the statistics and and UNBS, the statistics for importation through individuals is going higher compared to the custom bonded warehouses. So that's why I think this trajectory to come the clients, tell them that, hey, this is what we are doing, and you can do it with Kabugizi Motors and ship your car safely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ben. I will turn to Mr. Basoga. He talked about the years for the cars, car models, according to year manufacturer, which you mentioned as 2008. But why has there been a cutoff by URA on the years of manufacture of cars that are imported into Uganda? Why did you set that limit?
Okay, thank you so much, Val, our moderator, and greetings, our audience. We, as URA, we respect our work is implementation of the laws. The Traffic and Road Safety Act states that any vehicle that is 15 years old and above is prohibited from being imported. That is notwithstanding, even if you have an exemption, like I know they are returning residents who you've been abroad with your car and you're returning, the law allows you, but the Traffic and Road Safety Act will catch you if it's above 15 years, we don't allow you. So the first cutoff point is the Traffic and Road Safety Act. Number two, this year, management sat and looked. The East African Community Customs Management Act allows an importer to bring his vehicle and keep it in a bonded warehouse, these bonded warehouses you see, for a period of 6 months. And upon request to the Commissioner Customs, they can extend an extra 3 months, which brings it to a total of 9 months. Now, what does that mean to us? Over time, of course, statistics have been looked into, and there is a drive. Every year, we are required to collect higher targets. But as well, there are responses to clients. One of them is revenue. If I'm going to import a car in the country, and I'm going to keep revenue there for 9 months until I realize 6 million, 4 million, 8 million, it does for almost a year. We felt no, let's make it better. As a vehicle is staying there for 9 months, 6 months, the value is deteriorating. There is pilferage. 1 or 2 people can pick a part and none of us knows at all. The deterioration and the high levels of abandonment, and we end up auctioning the car and you're getting the reserve price. So coupled with a lot of reasons, it was agreed, let's have vehicles pay at the port of importation, that's Mombasa or Dar es Salaam, and we are looking at vehicles that are 13 years, year of manufacture, and 14 years. That is if it's a 2008 and a 2007. So it's a couple of issues, but to quickly realize revenue and as well to help us have the client pay taxes quickly and avoid and enable us to bring the product to the client intact and safe.
Thank you, Mr. Basoga. One of the other questions I had for you is that why must someone pay taxes for these cars at the port of entry? But you have answered that, but maybe you can expound even more.
It's a blessing that with the coming of the single customs territory, the members of East African community stopped looking at each other as independent states, but we look at each other like as if we are districts. So the boundaries of Uganda extend from Malaba, Busia, Mutukula to Mombasa and Dar es Salaam. That's why costs incurred from the port of importation, Mombasa, Dar es Salaam, up to this side are not added to the price actually paid or payable, making it easier to pay taxes. That means if I'm able to pay for my car from Mombasa, it's convenient. I'm able to know I have a number plate all the way. My movement with the car is just a formality. It also shows the level of predictability Uganda Revenue Authority has gone into. You are able almost with utmost precision to know how much taxes you can pay for your vehicle even before you make an order for it. That even as it's still in Mombasa, I can click pay taxes in Uganda and then Mombasa will notice. So there are system interconnectivities. It is a manifestation of advancement in the bilateral and the regional connectivities. It is also a manifestation of the predictability, the connectivity, how flexible we are as member states, and how our systems communicate. So it's a blessing of advancement and collaboration.
Thank you. Maybe the other question I have for you is that if somebody doesn't have the money to pay the taxes at the port as required, how long can the car be accommodated at the port? And then what happens next?
Wow, that's a very good one. If someone imports a car and brings it at the port, the requirement to pay at the port is for the used motor vehicles. Those in the years of 2007, year manufacture, 2008. But other used vehicles that are a little lower than that can be allowed to come in the country, and they are warehoused for a period not more than 6 months. So we didn't completely cut off the warehousing option, but we are saying if the car is completely old, we don't want us to be trapped. We bring a vehicle that is 14 years, then within 1 year again, now we are catching ourselves on the traffic and road safety. So still, years that are not yet 13 years of manufacture, they are used, we allow for warehousing. A brand new car, we allow for the normal warehousing. How long, in case I brought a 2007, 2008, and I'm at the port and I have failed to pay taxes, we have an option. One, you can execute a memorandum of understanding with the Commissioner Customs and request for installment payment of taxes. And the moment the MOU is signed between you and the Commissioner, then we are able to declare the WT8, which is the transit document, without you paying taxes. You come here, you make your initial payment, and then you continue with your installment payment of taxes from here. Meanwhile, the beauty again with URA is when we trust you and we give you installment payment of taxes, we release the vehicle to you. You are driving it, you're using it. So we are allowing a facility where you can drive your car with your number plate as you are looking for money to pay taxes completely as you pay your installments.
One of my final questions for you, Mr. Basoga, is how do you arrive at these taxes? Because we have seen some cars pay more taxes than the cost of the car itself. So you buy the car at maybe a certain amount of dollars. When it comes here to Kampala, you find yourself paying even more than you used to purchase the car originally.
Okay, that's a very good question. There are two ways we compute taxes for motor vehicles. Brand new vehicles, we use the invoice value. That is the price actually you have paid, or if you haven't paid in cash, the price payable, what you've agreed to pay. So for new vehicles, we treat them the way we would treat general goods. Your invoice, are you speaking the truth? Is it the price in the market, and your documents are correct and they are correlating? That is simple. For the used motor vehicles, because of the challenges with dealing in used motor vehicles, every month URA Customs Valuation issues a guide having reference values for vehicles. So if you're importing a used motor vehicle, we issue a guide. You're able to see my Mercedes-Benz ML class, CC, engine capacity 3,200, year of manufacture 2010, will give it a CIF, maybe 4,500. Now, there is a URA tax calculator, motor vehicle tax calculator, the URA portal. You can feed in that 3,000, that 4,500, the value guide we've given you, and then it will calculate for you, even factoring in the exchange rate. So, two ways. One, brand new, we use your documents, transaction documents, and of course we quality assure. We check through, we double check. Then the used motor vehicles, on a monthly basis, we share a guide. The final part is where a client feels that URA has unfairly taxed them. Maybe our value guide is completely out of range, there is an appeal procedure without penalty. You can appeal and say, Mr. Commissioner or Manager Valuation, no, this is extremely high. And when you have a strong ground, the law allows that we flex and the two parties agree, URA and the client that is appealing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to Ben. Take us through the car importation process, briefly.
Thank you so much, Val. Just like I had highlighted briefly, the car importation process definitely will start with the client, okay? The client need. The client need from selection, then having our key contacts in Japan. We have 3 main verified sources and maybe others based on our partners we have within here. Maybe to mention is that Kabugizi Motors is not an independent company. We are not the only company doing importation. But just like I've said, our niche is to get closer to the client. We have quite a number. We have Mr. Undo Sam. He's also an importer and a clearer. He owns a company called Race Logistics. Make Motors, I think they're also on their way coming. So really, the world is these days not about competition other than working together. So the partners we have mainly there are 3. We have ICM Japan, and for that matter, we are authorized suppliers in ICM here. We're actually supposed to have the account manager for Africa being on the call, but he wasn't doing well. He has a serious flu, based in Japan, but he really sent in his greetings. We have B Forward. We get cars from B Forward. We get cars from SBT. Okay? So, based on the client's need, we will assess and definitely give advice. Maybe one thing I need to say that part of our service is also give consultants. It's one thing to come and see a car looking good, like Kaganzi's car here that I saw is looking good. You're like, I really need that car. But it's another thing to know whether you maintain that car or it falls within the specification that you really want, or what if it will serve the purpose. Okay? Someone will come and say, I want a family car. Then you come and say, I want a car for starter. So after having done a thorough assessment of your needs, we'll select the car. Then we go to payments. We'll do a TT to Japan. A TT is just a telegraphic transfer, which can be done by any bank. Then upon confirming the payment, which is 40% as the promotion you are running, just like I've told you that ISCM, we have authorized dealership. So we have that privilege of you shipping your car on 40%. And that's one of the promotions that we are running in this festive season. 40% payment of the cost of Japan to Mombasa, we ship the car straight away. Then you pay the other balances as the car is reaching the port to get the bills of landing, which I will come to. So, upon paying making that payment, which is minimum 40%, okay, we work on the shipments. The shipments will definitely come with what we call the bills of landing after ascertaining your original names from the national ID. That's for individual cars, okay? If you want to have your car in the names of Kaganzi, we'll get your national ID. But then there are those who want to buy for companies. We'll prefer to get a certificate of incorporation, which you present to URA to get this car exit the the port, the CFS, okay? And that's the clearance. Port clearance, which is done by the Race Logistics, my partner like Sam Owundo, is doing our clearance. So, upon getting your consignee details, okay, that's the language you use this time. We are not the customer, but the consignee. Then you also have a notified party who is us now in charge of shipping your car. So the shipping will start. Shipping usually done 1 week or 2 upon getting the consignee details. But that varies. It's going to vary, just like we shall see. There are some of the challenges we face as a business, and this is world over. There are delays in shipment and all that. So to get straight to the point, the car is shipped. We count 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, based on the availability of the ship and the speed. Okay, because we'll be tracking these vehicles. Every ship comes with a code. Okay, and just like you go into Google, based on what you call a bill of landing, that's the BL. Whoever has done an importation, even a simple item, comes with a bill of landing. So we track that ship. So the ship will be running at a particular speed and particular time. Sometimes they stop in the Cape. There are those delays. But we try to manage together with our clients. So the car will be on its way to the port. Port, we use 3 ports, or okay, 2, I would say. The third one is for the South Sudan case. But for the East African region here, mainly we prefer Mombasa or Dar es Salaam. But mainly we use Mombasa. So a week towards the car reaching the port, we have what we call the bills of landing. So the bills of landing will be containing the other name which you gave us on your national ID. If you want your company in the names of Race Logistics, the bills of landing will come reading Race. But of course, you must have a certificate of incorporation to that, which you use to pay taxes, this gentleman. So the car will definitely be picked from the port using those bills of landing and driven to Mombasa. From Mombasa to Kampala, 90% of cars are driven really, apart from some few exceptions, those who would want the cars to be on a carrier. And majority of them are driven, okay, from Mombasa to Kampala. To note is that on shipment, the car is insured. Just like I told you, we do what we call CIF, the cost, insurance, and freight. At Kabugizi Motors, we don't really encourage or we don't risk to ship any client's car when it's not insured on marine and land. That's from Mombasa to Kampala. And definitely, just like the insurance person will take you through, on land here, when it is being cleared, we also do what we call comprehensive and maybe third-party minimum. So the car is delivered here. For 2008 cars and 29, just like Reagan elaborated, they pay taxes from the port. Then we drive the car. You find when the car is here with this number plate ready. Okay? So upon that, we just punch the number plate, do the post-sale services. We don't just hand a car to you. We'll have to make sure we've done the checks, we've washed. Are these the right tires? Is the engine intact as it was inspected? Are these the right spares that were there? Everything, okay? If it has issues, we recommend a mechanic. Duke's Garage is here. That's why we have him. For different brands, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, Toyota commonly, Subaru lovers, we make sure that we recommend to you the right person who's going to do those services. If you even want to have service from authorized retailers, who are the local dealers here, Nissan, Toyota Uganda, who currently Sifao, we have a representative from Sifao here, Mr. Nyombi. I saw in the room. Mr. Nyombi are here? Yes, we have Mr. Nyombi. Mr. Nyombi works with Sifao Uganda. They have currently rebranded into, it was Toyota, but it's now Sifao. I think we're expecting some people from Ronald Uganda, Kampala Motors, they should have come. Nissan, Spear Motors, they should. I think they are also on their way. So if you want service from the local retailer who is authorized with all the spares, we refer you to Toyota. Mr. Nyombi is there. And all other suppliers. And then, of course, mainly we use our experienced mechanics like Duke's Garage, whom we have here. He's going to be taking us through mechanics. So that's the entire process of shipping, transporting from Mombasa to Kampala, and handing over. I think that's what I can briefly say about that. And the rest we shall be adding on as we go in the discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ben. Paul, over to you now.
If they can.
I would like to know, what are some of the technical concerns that a car buyer should consider as they choose a car to use or to buy?
Thank you very much, Val, our dear listeners, our people attending. It's very important that you approach the decision of buying a new car very carefully. Most especially when it comes to acquiring a car that you're going to import, that you're going to live with. I think the first most important thing is you must know the purpose for this vehicle that you're buying. We have many types of vehicles, as you all know, but the main classifications are small car, station wagon, or what we call SUV, sports utility vehicle. We have minibuses or omnivans, and we have pickups and trucks and what have you. So what is the purpose of the vehicle you're going to buy? Are you going to move luggage, whereby you need more cargo space? Is the vehicle going to be for your business, transporting your goods to the market or to your warehouse? Or is it going to be for passengers? Are you a young couple, a young family that needs to take children to school. So this is very important because when our friends Kabugizi present the vehicle to you, you will begin to look at things like the space of the vehicle, how many seats it has, how much luggage space. So that is number one concern. You should know the purpose of the vehicle you're going to drive or you're going to own. Number two, it is important to know the engine size. Engine size is very important because it affects our budget. And I'm sure most buyers, people who go out to look for a source of their new car, whether they come to Kabugizi or wherever, are looking for a good deal. But they're also thinking about how much they're going to spend when they are operating this car. So it's important to know the size of the car because different cars have different sizes. For instance, if you are buying a car for purposes of just commuting from home to the office, definitely you will be conscious about fuel economy because most of the time you're in traffic jam because you drive during peak hours. So if you go for a 5.7 liter V8 engine, you're going to be in trouble, okay? Mr. Kabugizi will deliver the car, but you will complain, you'll put up your hand and say, no, this car is a guzzler. So know the purpose of the car you're buying, but also know the engine size because it has an implication in terms of fuel economy and maintenance cost. The smaller the engine, the better your fuel economy and the better your maintenance cost. But that said, if you are looking for a car for instance, traveling on the highway, going to the village, you run a project, you will definitely not go for a small engine. You'll not go for the 1.3 liter, okay? Because you need some power. You're on the highway, you need to overtake, you need to reach on time. I don't mean you need to overspeed, but I mean you need power. So in that case, you may say, okay, let's get something in the range of maybe 3.5, it could be a V6. So the size of the engine matters. Number three, it is important to also know the type of fuel. I think that goes with the size of engine. Am I going to go for a petrol engine? Why should I not go for a diesel? Because diesel engines are usually good for towing. Diesel engines have torque, okay? So if you're buying a pickup that is going to carry your cargo, it is better to buy a diesel, okay? If you're buying a small car, perhaps go for a petrol because a petrol engine is easier to maintain, okay? The other factor that should be considered when you're making that important decision is versatility, okay? Now, that is flexibility. You may have a family car, but once in a while, you also need to do road trips to the village. So perhaps get a car that has 5 seats and also some cargo space. And when you discuss with Benedict at Kabugizi, he will be able to give you the options. But you must go when you have in mind the purpose of the car you're buying. Lastly, maybe in terms of answering that question, safety. Safety is a very big concern nowadays. It is important that you consider safety as you decide which car you're going to buy. Today we have safety technology or safety advancement in cars. Traditionally, we only had seat belts, okay? But today we have airbags. So ask Mr. Benedict that, look, the car that I'm going to buy, how safe is it? Does it have airbags? Does it have twin airbags? Does it have 8 airbags? All those things are very important in influencing our decision. We can go on talking about that point, but I think those are the most important.
Thank you very much, Paul. Let's talk about car maintenance. And 2 questions I have for you. What are the important car fluids? And also, why and when should they be maintained? And then the other question also is about, most times cars have engine challenges, like engine knocks, that engine light keeps showing up on the dashboard, and generally poor performance, even on the road or the highway, like you mentioned. But what are some of the notable causes that you can attribute to this? challenges in motor vehicles?
Okay. Those are two broad questions, but I'm going to try and link them up as I answer in the interest of time. Number one, when we talk about car fluids, I think that's where you started. Many people find it a bit abstract. What are car fluids? What are car oils? Does it matter anyway? But in terms of car maintenance, I think one of the most important things, after you pick a good vehicle at Kabugizi, after you select a technically sound vehicle that is delivered by Kabugizi, the important point is how do you maintain the car? But before the maintenance of the car, I presume from what Benedict told us, they have selected a car that has a good maintenance record. You see, it is rare for us to ask ourselves, where has this car been? How was it looked after? The car has been brought to you, but it is a used car. In most cases, we are talking about used cars. Cars that come with mileages of about 100,000 kilometers or 50,000 or whatever, but they are used cars. And unfortunately, oftentimes, we do not have a clear record of the user history because some of these cars don't have user manuals. Neither, maintenance manuals. If you go to Toyota Uganda or Sifao, they will sell you a brand new car and give you a maintenance manual where they tick every time they service the car. But most of the cars that we get from Japan actually do not have maintenance records. You're lucky. If you find the maintenance record in the glove box, it's in Japanese. So we as motorists and people who handle these used cars need to advise ourselves or advise our customers that the first thing you need to do is create your own service history. So start by doing a full maintenance inspection and replacement of fluids. So I come back to the point of fluids. What are the important fluids? Number one, engine oil. I'm sure many of us know that every time you drive a car, after a while, after a period, you need to drain the oil. But what period is that? So in most cases, for instance, you need to drain oil after 5,000 kilometers. Now, when you have to drain the oil, why do you drain the oil? Oil deteriorates with time. And yet oil, in fact, across the board, all fluids that you see in cars, engine oil, and let me talk about all of them together because of time. Engine oil, gearbox oil, brake fluid. Brake fluid is also an oil, by the way, because it provides hydraulic effect in the brake system. Steering fluid, which is also an oil. All these fluids and oils have components in your brake system, your gearbox, or whatever. So as those fluids flow around, they help you. Those fluids have been designed or they have been blended with additives that give them the ability to take away heat. They have additives that give them the ability to prevent frictional damage. But they also have the additives that prevent corrosion. Corrosion is another agent that damages metallic surfaces. I think you know that. So what tends to happen, and why we tend to have to maintain these fluids, is because over time those additives age and those fluids actually cease to perform the way they should. Now, when you get this so-called new car, which isn't actually new, you need to replace all those fluids. Don't just change oil. Change the gearbox fluid, change the steering fluid, change the coolant, change all those fluids, because when they age, they will not provide those important functions.
Thank you very much, Paul. Technology, I'm sure, plays a very big part in influencing maintenance of cars. So can you explain to us how technology influences car maintenance? What are some of those things that are applied in the maintaining of cars with technology?
Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about technology in our cars, actually technology has evolved. Technology is never static. From the time we had the first car that those of you who have visited our museum, I don't know if you've seen that car with wheels that look like those of a big motorcycle. From the advent of the first motor vehicle to the cars that we have in this compound that are imported by Kabugizi, technology has changed. And I think we need to understand the drive behind technology for us to understand the challenges that Val is asking me to talk about. Number one, from the moment the first car was manufactured, the biggest headache to the innovator or the inventor, Mr. Ford T, was how can I make this car run more efficiently? Efficiency in terms of can it be more powerful and can it cost me less fuel? Because every time you run a car, you need to put something in there. You need to stop somewhere and fuel it. Now, for every motorist, those are our two biggest concerns. How fast can this car drive? How much work can it do for me? But what will it cost me to run it in terms of fuel? Of course, and maintenance. But mainly, the first thing that comes to your mind is fuel. So innovation or technology in the car space, the car manufacturing space, has always addressed how to make the cars more efficient. Can they actually consume less fuel? Can they move faster? Can they be more powerful? So as technology has moved on, I think that has been the thrust behind the challenges that we have. Now, I will talk about the first of the 5 challenges that I'm going to talk about in the car manufacturing space. In the quest for better efficiency, car manufacturers have actually downsized car engines. If you've noticed carefully, the newer cars on the market are tending to have smaller engines, but engines that are more powerful. I'll give you an example. If you look at the newer Subarus on the market today, or if you look at the newer Mercedes-Benzes, I'm talking about next to new to brand new, they actually have smaller engines. They have 2.2, 2 liter, 1.8. The biggest is perhaps about 2.4. And yet when you compare the power of those small engines to the power of the bigger engines in the older generations, they're actually more powerful. So that's challenge number 1, the downsizing of engines. Car manufacturers are employing technology like twin turbocharging. You know what turbochargers are? Turbochargers are devices that do forced air induction to make your car stronger. Your engine power, you get more engine power when you run a turbo. Now, cars are coming with twin turbos. A small 2.2 liter engine with twin turbos. BMW. The newer BMWs, I think like the one outside there, is twin turbocharged. Now, you drive it, 2 liter, it drives like a 5 liter. Okay? Now, the challenge there, and there's also ancillary technology like variable valve timing. You've seen VVTI. VVTI is technology that improves the performance of the engine as well as the fuel economy. And it does that by varying the air intake. I will not go into explaining in detail how it works. That's not for today. But basically, it's the way you light your sigiri and you keep adjusting the flap door for better efficiency of the sigiri. That is adjusting the amount of air that goes in there. So variable valve timing does that. Automatically, it adjusts the amount of air. Now, if I talk about those two technologies alone, what they do in terms of car maintenance is they put a huge demand. It's a small engine, but the engine is producing a lot of power. So that engine tends to produce, it tends to have very harsh running conditions. Okay? It's like I get this little boy who's running around and I give him a big bag to carry on his head. What does that mean? He's going to work much harder. So I may give him something to turbocharge him, and you see the little guy doing so much work, but he's sweating. So that's what happens to these small engines. They generate a lot of dirt. Okay? They require special oils to service them for those VVTI systems not to fail. Okay? So to answer your question, in terms of technology, downsizing has caused a challenge, and turbocharging. The other thing that we must look at in terms of technology, the same technology that I'm talking about, we have things like electronic fuel injection. You've heard about EFI. EFI started in the 90s. But today we have, from EFI, we now got direct for injection. So, which is stratified fuel injection. Now, that is a more direct way of delivering fuel into the combustion chamber. Now, that improves the power of the car. It also improves fuel economy. However, it also has a challenge. That kind of technology is dirt intolerant. Let me repeat, dirt intolerant. So the maintenance standard has to be so high. Now, you begin to become conscious and very, very concerned about even the fuel that you're going to put in this car. We've had fuel vendors like Shell. I happen to be a Shell Fuels and Lubricants ambassador in this country. Okay, so I can tell you, it is a big concern even for the fuel vendors. Okay, the people who supply fuel on the market, because now we have established that all fuels are now not the same. Because some fuel vendors have specifically worked together with car manufacturers. I've been somewhere where, for instance, the people who develop the research and development headquarters for Shell work together with car manufacturers to test fuels for that technology. So it's that serious. So when a fuel supplier tells you we are supplying fuel that will clean the fuel the dirt intolerant systems in your car, that is what I'm talking about. Because the technology is there. We love the technology, or we no longer have any choice now. All the cars that are coming are VVTI, right? So we have to deal with it. So that insensitive or dirt intolerant technology in these cars is now a big deal. So we need to also look at the oils and the fuels that we use to maintain them. In terms of technology, perhaps I will also talk about emission. Emission is a big deal today. Benedict will tell you that most of the cars that we import now have catalytic converters. Okay? That's been on for a while. Because the fuel legislation that we have in Uganda insists that we must have unleaded fuel. But then also there's environmental legislation that requires cars that reduce the pollutants that they emit from the exhaust. So cars are designed, and this legislation has been stronger in the countries where these cars are coming from. In Japan, in the UK, and wherever we import cars from, they have had this legislation for a long time. So the used cars that we get from there are coming with devices that clean the emission. And the two significant ones are the catalytic converter and the diesel particulate filter. Now, both we in the maintenance world and you as users of this technology, you must be aware of that. Now, if you have a catalytic converter, you cannot buy fuel from any vendor who brings it in a jerrycan. In case that fuel is leaded, it will damage the catalytic converter. Okay? In case that fuel is adulterated and mixed with paraffin, it will damage the catalytic converter. We also have catalytic converter thefts, but that's a story for another day. So we must look after our catalytic converters. Okay? Those who drive diesel vehicles or who intend to buy newer diesel vehicles, they come with diesel particulate filters, which again are emission trap devices. They clean your exhaust, but they also require special oil. You must have oil that is suitable for protecting the DPF. And usually these oils are the fully synthetic, 5W30. You must also take diesel that is from a vendor who is organized. Okay? Don't take diesel from the little shop in the corner. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is how technology is affecting car ownership and car maintenance.
Thank you very much, Paul. Edward has been quiet, but that's because I haven't thrown any questions to him. So now let's talk insurance. Why insurance? What is motor comprehensive insurance, first of all? And what other products does CIC Insurance Uganda offer for the car owner?
Thank you, Va. I was like a fly on the wall, just taking in from the rest of our panelists. My name is Edward Hire. I come from CIC Insurance. Just briefly, CIC is a leading cooperative insurer in Africa. We're in over 4 countries, Uganda, Kenya, South Sudan, and Malawi. We have over 800 billion in assets under management at CIC, and we rate over 300 billion in revenue. But here in Uganda, we have the general and life business. Now, pertinent to this, we're talking about what is motor comprehensive insurance. I'll just give a simple family experience of mine. A relative bought a car, imported a car, a very nice black Toyota Harrier, obviously meeting the required year of manufacture. And when he left the bond, everything is paid up. Apart from an installment, he had a balance of about 10 million. And they asked, can we add some features to the car, like a tracker? He thought about it and said maybe in a week's time. He drove off, got home in the evening, parked the car. The next day, he was driving towards, I think, Mbale. Robbers stopped the car and took it from there. So, the dream car that came still had a balance of 10 million. And how would he recover that? Up to today, he hasn't recovered that car. That's where motor comprehensive insurance comes in. When you get your car from Kabugizi and you've gone through all the importations, release from the bond, and you're driving the car, there are things that can happen. So motor comprehensive insurance looks at 2 key things. It covers against the damage of the vehicle because of an accident or theft. That is the first thing, because it causes financial loss to you. The second part, it covers third-party liability. You may knock someone either by your overspeeding or the pedestrian's own errors as far as crossing the road, and by law, even if it was their error, they have to be compensated. So motor comprehensive covers your car against the accident that it may incur, or it's being stolen, or even partial thefts. We have seen cars where you come and the mirrors are gone, the switches are gone, and a number of things. Spare parts are very key in some of these crime syndicates. So the pain of replacing something you've invested as an asset is very key. And having motor insurance basically cover that is very key. But there are other, obviously, benefits like a CIC that we look at. Imagine you're going to your farm and your car rolls, and you need someone to protect it. It's a cost because you can't carry the car, or you need it to be towed. So insurance has or will compensate or reimburse those costs. Apart from also replacing the car if it is fully damaged, or even replacing parts if there are partial losses on the car. So comprehensive does that. But most people in the market, especially who walk out of the bond, only take the statutory cover, the motor third party. That one is by law and only covers bodily injury, and up to a tune of about 10 million. So it's not adequate cover. It may pay for the person who you've knocked, but how about your car? So your car, also in case you knock another car, at least that financial implication is taken care of by the insurance company for a small premium. So that is a bit about motor comprehensive insurance.
Thank you very much, Edward. Very well considered, and now we can tell that the importance of having your cars comprehensively insured. Let me go back to Benedict, and now this brings in an element of risks. What are some of the risks that are involved in car importation? And also, as Kabugizi Motors, what measures do you have in place to mitigate these risks so that we don't suffer them as customers?
Thank you so much. Just like any other transactions on this world, there are risks involved. Even when you are making a step to move out of that door, you have a higher chance of knocking a tile there and you have your foot damaged. So there are risks associated, but there are quite a number of measures that we put in place to mitigate them and make sure that we deliver your unit, that's your car, without even a scratch. To start with, of course, there are risks associated with shipping, but like I've said, we consider the CIF, okay? So based on the relationship we have with the importer, the shipper from Japan, we have a cost which we pay upon ordering, which is called insurance cost. So to be assured, even based on the agreement that we sign from the time of initiation, even on the all engagements we get, the car is insured on marine, on water. That you have to be assured. And I think it's even a requirement now by URA and UNBS that all cars that come in must be insured. Some discussion I think had come around, but for us to take a precautionary measure, we must make sure that the car is considered under the CIF, actually CIIF basis. That's the cost of the car. We insure it, we inspect it, okay, and deliver. So inspection comes with quite a number of things as well. Just like they've said, technology comes with quite a number of challenges also. So there's a highly likely chance that your car maybe can have, the car you're going to buy can have issues. What do we do? 90% of the cars which are imported here, they are used, okay? Even the marketing language we use here, we are proudly importers of used cars. It sounds weird. But that's the fact. The African market consumes used cars, 90%. So a few, of course, government agencies and a few individuals can manage to ship in zero mileage cars, like my friend were there. Okay? They have the capacity to ship in a zero mileage car. Okay? Maybe he can go to Sifao. He lands on a one which came on a carrier. But those are the few. That's the 10%. So you have to believe that the 90% all of us here, we drive used cars. Best mileage maybe you can get is 40 kilometers. There are those who are lucky. Like my friend Happy Peter here, he has ever gotten a car with us which was 50 kilometers mileage. And when he bought another one, I telling him, do I get someone to give you money? He still has his car. He really fell in love with it. So some people get cars which are 50 kilometers mileage. They're still good. But we don't just go ahead and buy that car without doing inspection. So we have to inspect the car. We inspect the health of the engine. We do what we call checks. We do what we call auction checks and do the auction grading. How I wish we had maybe a presentation would show you how an auction sheet looks like. There are some technical areas that we have to look at. Some of them are expressed in Japanese, but when you go on Google, this is current technology. You can even punch in that auction sheet and it converts, the Google Translate, they can convert for you that auction sheet into English. Okay? So you can easily translate that auction sheet into English and you see from Japanese to English and you'll be able to understand. Any auction paper, you have a chance to see it, I'm sure. One time, you can inbox me from here, I'll show you too. Call what they call an auction paper. It has what we call an auction grading. You check like in the top up right corner, there's what you call an auction grading. The cars which are graded number 5, they are rare. Those are which are below 30 kilometers mileage. 5 auction grade. They are very rare. I think I've had one customer who had gotten that 5 auction grading. They are really, really hard. I will have client testimonies. I don't want to blow the trumpet. So the other car which follows has an auction grade of 4. Auction grade 4, this is a car which has been used but still good. The health of the engine is okay. Breathes well. Most cars, of course, have current technology based on the brand. Most of them, they lie between 60 kilometers and below. So we have to make sure that we check what we call an auction grade, which has the Japan mileage original and tampered with. There are means of people that have employed, of course, reducing the mileage. Those are some vices which don't really embrace. But we shall give you an auction sheet which has an original mileage from Japan. So those are some of the precaution measures we do. So of course, upon inspecting, we shipping, we tracking, we insure on water and land. Okay? So that means even as this car is moving from Mombasa to Kampala, it has a tracker. There's a gadget tracker. And when we are giving you the billing for Mombasa Kampala price, we put that tracker. Okay? Straight. The car will be tracked, so there will be no theft, and insured. So that's the double check. We insure and track. That means even when this car stops at Malaba, we shall be seeing this car. When it's arriving Jinja, we shall be seeing. When the car arrives Kampala, we shall be seeing. And that tracker is also used by the URA people for revenue protection purposes. You don't have to get a car, you don't pay taxes. You reach Malaba, no Kwatugwa Soluti. You go to South Sudan. These cars are tracked. So, but it's a double check. So we have to deliver this car under all those precautions. And those are some of the measures we take to make sure that we mitigate the risks. And even these cars arrive here, we definitely do the double checks upon delivery. We've come up with a template that's going to be given to clients. Just like what Kagans was explaining about the fluids, you need to understand which kind of fluids this car is going to take. Which kind of engine is in this car. You don't have to go in every kafunda you see because you've seen fuel and you just put fuel. You're going to get issues with that car. Okay? Get recommended fluids. Don't just go and do service. They change some of the fluids like the hydraulic. We really encourage some clients when they bring the cars, they don't tamper with the hydraulic. He will bear with you. The hydraulic, which comes from Japan, sometimes they think, most times it's to do with, I don't want to go in that space of technology, but he will explain. So that's some of the precautionary measures that we put in place. Advising, insurance, and inspection. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Mr. Basoga. We have seen some cars with red number plates, blue number plates. Some of these are even private cars. How does one get to own such a car or with such a number plate? Or acquire those number plates, sorry. Or how do companies also get to do so?
Okay, thank you, Val. The categories, there are several categories of number plates. And when you see the vehicle on the road by the category of the number plates, it is speaking something. we know that we are having the black and white, and of course the yellow background, but black, the normal number plates. That means that that client or that person has paid full taxes, motor vehicle and registration fees to government. The blue number plates are mainly for government parastatals, like URA used to have. There are several other government parastatals. I don't want to speak on their behalf. And the red, what I'm to explain is the red number plates. The red number plates, red and white, means that that client did not pay taxes at importation. And the law provides for that. If you have gone abroad, you have been living outside the country, outside the boundaries of Uganda, and you have owned and been using that vehicle for more than 12 months, the law allows you to return with that vehicle in Uganda and continue using it, register it without paying a single cent in taxes. But you will have to pay for the registration fees and motor vehicle fees for that, and of course the number plate to ABC or Tampeco for the physical number plate. But the taxes you won't pay. That means you'll get your red and white number plate, but there are conditions. That exemption is non-transferable. It is a benefit to a returning resident, me, if it's me. If I sell it to my wife, my son, my daughter, my friend, my partner, whoever, they will have to go to URA, and then we transfer. First and foremost, we board off. We do the depreciation over, we have a schedule. Depending on how long the registration came, we depreciate, and then you pay taxes. And then you pay for the ordinary number plate. So anytime you want to transfer, you pay. The others are stipulated still, and that is as per the East African Community Customs Management Act on the part of returning residents. The others are still as per the law. In customs, the Bible of customs is the East African Community Customs Management Act, which is available, and the East African Community Customs Management Regulations, of course, across the member countries. There are very many vehicles under the 5th schedule of the East African Community Customs Management Act, from which somebody can benefit exemption. For example, if you are a registered player in the tourism industry, Regan and Sons Tour Company Limited, and the ministry in charge of tourism gives you their authentication that yes, we know Val and Sons Limited, and you import a vehicle, there are specific modifications we require you to make on that vehicle. Either it must be a 4-wheel drive, we give you the seating capacity, the modifications in terms of color, and of course usually it is green or very, very good yellow, not too shouting. Specifications that will not scare away wild animals. And that can happen for those kinds, but also we know of sightseeing buses and trucks. So you bring your vehicle, before you pay taxes, modify it, you have the permission letter from the ministry, and if we verify and find that all specifications, you're ticking all the boxes, you get your red and white number plate. There are vehicles that are involved in exportation, and these ones mainly in agriculture, for example, or fisheries. If you have refrigerated trucks dealing in milk, dealing in fish, dealing in refrigerated trucks, they are allowed. If you are, so there are several, it's a huge list available from which Ugandans can benefit, and they get the exemptions. So they are provided by the law and accorded accordingly.
Thank you very much.
The other is the red number plates, which we all know is government. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Basoga. We're getting to the final minutes of our panel discussion. But as we are concluding, let's go back to Edward. What does somebody do in case of a claim? What are the steps? But also, together with that, what are the key underwriting requirements for motor comprehensive insurance?
Thank you, Val. I'll start with the key underwriting requirements. Like any other insurance we offer, there's a proposal form and a KYC you fill in, which gives us the information. But patent to underwriting the value of the vehicle, obviously when you brought in the vehicle, you already know the value, the cost it has taken you to have it from the bond and you're driving it out. That is the first element because it's financial. So if the vehicle is 100 million, 50 million, that value is considered. Of course, we have to know the owner of the vehicle, who we call the insured. If it's Paul, it is Paul because he has interests in that car. So that is very vital information. And the other things are concerning the car, which obviously is provided by the logbook or specific information that can be got prior to having the logbook processed. That includes the year of manufacture, the body type. Obviously, with the logbook, we know the use of the car, either private or commercial. Those attract us on what to price the car for underwriting. And just on the claim side, just a few tips. The first thing you should know when you're involved in an accident is do not abandon the car. You always have to have a kind of protection offered for security rather than abandoning the car, especially when you're way away from the city. The good thing is that our policies also can be extended to reimburse you for the costs for protection and removal. Now, the second thing when you're involved in an accident, I haven't yet reached the requirements, but just because when an accident happens, someone may not know what to do. The second thing you have to make sure is do not accept liability. That is more of the lawyers tell you, don't, even if you're in the wrong, don't say it is my fault, I will take care of everything. No. You can just maybe mention that we will see how to handle this, but don't assume liability that I'll take care of everything. Because by law, in any case, anything, you always don't assume liability, even when you've knocked. Now the third thing, where you've had an accident, if you have a camera or phone, please take pictures. That's why you see some people may stop in the middle of traffic, someone has knocked them from behind, or they have knocked. When they stop, they take pictures of both the cars, how they have knocked, or even the car that has knocked him, and also you get details of the person who has knocked you or you have knocked. If he has also insurance, it is good to have that in mind. That is at least at the incident level. Of course, you then, in a reasonable time, have to report or notify the insurer. That's the first thing. It may be a phone call to your contact person, the insurance, or the particular number you've been given, or an email. And from there, the information will reach the claims department, who will guide whatever documentation is required. If it involves a crime or theft of parts in the car, or hit and run, make sure you get a police report, which will be one of the accompanying documents for your claim. But like I said, also at CIC, we always look at enhancing the features of someone's policy. Remember that the cost of even getting some of these reports, like the police report, the company on your policy can reimburse you for those costs if you have the receipted section of it. But also, if you look at other features, like some clients may want medical reimbursements because you've been hurt in an accident. So we try to enhance those features. Others may look at personal effects. Ironically, when you get an accident and you're also hurt, the Good Samaritans also sometimes take your phone, your wallet. Yes, you'll find yourself in the hospital. So there are those personal effects, excluding cash, that if proven sufficiently, we can also reimburse. But at the end of it all, at CIC, we look at the claims experience to help you get your car back if it's partial, that you're working with particular garages like Paul's Garage to make sure the parts are worked on, the car is repainted, or if it's a total write-off, again, you can talk to Kabugizi once the insurance company pays you for the loss of your car fully. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. As we conclude, Paul, now that somebody has purchased their car, they have driven out of the bond, what are some of the things that a person has to do to ensure that they avoid routine car failure?
Ladies and gentlemen, I think the first concern is a box that is ticked together with Kabugizi. When you're selecting a car and my friend here, Benedict, tells you that, look, this RAV4 costs more than the other RAV4. And you ask him, why? And he'll tell you probably the grading, as he mentioned. But I think one of the factors that influences grading is mileage. Ladies and gentlemen, let us not ignore mileage. Of course, I know we have mileage fraud, mileage tampering, but where Benedict is able to use the auction report in Japan to confirm the mileage, and I think this is where it becomes very useful to deal with an intermediate, an intermediary like Benedict, because he takes you behind the kitchen where the actual selling or auctioning of these cars happen. When you walk into a bond where you find 100 cars and what you see is what you get, you may not get the benefit of being able to know whether A, the correct mileage of that car was 60,000. The car may actually be 200,000, but someone has rolled it back. The rolling back of mileage fraud happens both in Japan and here. So when you have a person like Benedict who is willing to show you the auction report, take advantage of that. Because the auction report will definitely show you the correct mileage of the car. Mileage is very important in terms of maintenance because it will show you what routine service you require to do. For example, if a car is 100,000 kilometers, you definitely need to change all the fluids. I'm talking about transmission fluid, and transmission here now, ladies and gentlemen, we usually change automatic transmission fluid, which people call hydraulic. But even the automatic transmission has types. We have the newly experienced CVT. I think you've heard about the CVT gearbox. It's giving people trouble. It's a newer type of automatic transmission. And I will not explain how it works today, but I will tell you it requires a different type of fluid from the conventional automatic transmission. So you will know that, secondly, besides looking at the mileage, you can also look at the user manual. You can download a user manual for your particular car and know that this car, the transmission fluid or the brake fluid or the engine oil should be replaced at certain intervals. You can also know from, for instance, manufacturers of fluids. They also give you guidance. They will tell you that this particular kind of oil, you need to change every 3,500 kilometers. Or this particular oil, you can change after 5,000 or 7,000. Okay? So this is information we need to know. After we pick the correct vehicle, we must make sure that the vehicle will be looked after correctly. The other important concern that we should address when we want to look after our cars or to avoid breaking down is we must understand the different signals that a car will give you. Because when Benedict hands over the car to you, and perhaps when you do service at your choice of, and by the way, choosing your provider is very important. Don't let a guy who comes on a border take your car to one day gear to a place you don't know. Try to find out, where is my car going to be serviced? Who is going to service my car? Is he paying attention to these important things? So it is also equally important to know which types of oils and which types of fuels are correct. I have mentioned oils and fuels and fluids so many times because actually these are the main genesis of cars breaking down. I can give you so many reasons why cars break down. Cars sometimes break down because of the way we drive, where we drive them, etc. But primarily, the choice of oils, the choice of maintenance that we choose or that we use is what determines how our cars will last long. It is not always, Mr. Benedict gave me a bad car. Benedict, how did you look after it? Okay? So let us choose the oils carefully because different engines actually require different oils. And you can get this information from, for instance, at Shell. We tell you that this particular engine requires this kind of oil to protect the other technology I talked about. Okay? But also fuels. For instance, we now have, Benedict, for your information, many of the Audis, Mercedes-Benz, the newer Mercedes-Benzes and Audis, when you open the fuel flap, and by the way, the latest Land Cruiser, LC300, when you open the fuel flap, it tells you, use only 95 octane petrol. You know what that means? You must use Shell V-Power. Because it's the only 95 octane number petrol on this market. Why should you use that petrol? Because the design of the technology in that engine requires as little cylinder knock. Cylinder knock is something that happens every time we fire an engine. But excessive cylinder knock causes detuning. Now, the technology or the design of that engine requires that it uses 95 octane number fuel. Just to throw some bit of light, and I'm sorry I'm going a bit astray, but it is relevant. Users, we need to know that on the market, we have, for instance, what you may call the regular petrol, which is 93 octane. Octane number is how fast fuel burns. Okay? So most of these other petrols, and I'm not pitching for Shell because I work with Shell. I'm giving you general knowledge. Most of the petrol that is bought from Kenya by the different dealers, Shell, Total, is 93 octane grade. Now, 93 octane is different from 95 octane. 95 octane is V-Power. It comes differently, okay? It is shipped in special containers to Kenya and delivered in special containers because that octane number can only be designed where that petrol comes from. While the 93 octane is designed during the refining process in Kenya. In Kenya is where we get most of our fuels, okay? So there's a big difference between those fuels. Now, those vehicles that specify, I think even Subaru sometimes specifies 95 octane number. You must use Shell V-Power. When you don't use Shell V-Power, the car actually loses power. And when you come to us in the garage, we will look around, then we'll say, Genda ku Shell or Nywe Shell V-Power. Have you heard that before for the car dealers? That is the reason. So choose your fuels carefully, okay? And the sources of fuel to avoid adulteration and those people who play around with the fuel. Lastly, look at the terrain where you're driving the car. Because I have been asked to mention the things that will affect the longevity or your enjoyment of this car. Where are you going to drive the car? If you're going to drive the car in those places, for instance, in Bundibujo or after those places where the roads are very bad, perhaps you need a four-wheel drive. You don't need a small Raum. You need a four-wheel drive. Okay? The other thing is it is important that we drive sensibly. Okay? You've bought a Toyota Raum, you've bought a Toyota East. Should you drive it like you're driving a four-wheel drive? You go off-road and on a bad road and you're driving very fast, and after that you say, Kabugizi gave me a bad car. No. So let's be sensible. Let's choose our maintenance partners carefully. Let's choose only genuine parts. Okay? Yeah. Finally, before I go off, when you see any strange light on your dashboard, pay attention. The main warning lights on the dashboard are usually colored red, and those are something to do with the engine oil, the failure of power. That will show you the sign of a battery. Engine oil will show you that Aladdin's can with, then the other one is the check engine light. The notorious orange check engine light means you have a problem with the emission system. And again, by the way, it will come back to oil and fuels. Okay? So don't ignore those lights. As soon as you see those lights, report to your service provider and have it rectified. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Edward Hire, Mr. Regan, Basoga, Paul Kaganzi as well, and Mr. Benedict Buhanguzi. Maybe Benedict, the one question I didn't ask you was, are there any challenges that you face in the car importation process? And maybe in just 1 or 2 minutes, just summarize for us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely the challenges are there, but we have to try and mitigate them. Just of late, we've been having delays in shipping. We've been having delays in shipping. I think it's been caused mainly, most of the companies were hit by the COVID pandemic. So in the time of recovery, you find most of the shipping lines had cut the number of staff, and then even the ships had been, some of them, put on hold. So you find in the time of business recovery, there have been quite some challenges to get the ships. So there have been delays in shipping. Some people have heard them saying that the Russia-Ukraine war is for Russia and Ukraine. No, we are in a global village. It has equally impacted on the car importation business. Why? Because you definitely know with general knowledge that Russia is the leading importer of and exporter, of gas and wheat. So you find that when there was a cutoff, mostly in the Asian world and most of the European countries, there was a cutoff for the supply of gas and wheat. So most companies in Asia had to divert their ships to delivery of urgently necessity. Urgent and necessities. I don't know how to put it. Urgent and more necessary goods. That's where mainly gas. It's such a necessity at home. When you don't have gas at home, you can't eat. And wheat. So you find that the car shipping lines had been reprioritized to do more of delivery of gas and wheat. So you find it gave a shift and the delay to the importation of cars. So the ships were hardly available. But of late, we've seen some recovery. There's been some recovery, and we've seen some cars arrive here in 3 weeks and in a month. Okay, of course, you can't fail to get some challenges of delays, but that's how we try to mitigate them and minimize them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We have come to the end of our panel discussion. A big round of applause for our panelists, the CEO, Kabugizi Enterprises, of course, and Mr. Paul Duke Kaganzi, Mr. Regan Basuga, and of course, Mr. Edward Hire. Thank you so much for your time. Maybe you can just stand for a group photo as we move to the next part of our program. I'd like to also announce that our meal is ready. I've seen quite a number of people who are tuned off. But I'm happy to report that we shall be breaking off for our meal. And we shall also have an opportunity to find out where you can find Paul. Paul, there's a question, where can you be located? And I know that Duke's Garage is in Nalia, but maybe you can explain really quickly. As I also like to call up Mr. Peter and Miss Diana, please come.
Thank you very much, Val. My garage, where I work, is in Nalia, along Namugongo Road, but just above National Housing Estate. So off the Northern Bypass, it's the 4th turnoff on your left. You you'll see our signpost Duke's Garage. You can also use Google Maps to get to us. If you type Duke's Garage Nalia, it will actually talk you to our gate.
Thank you very much. Quick group photo. But as they are setting up, Mr. Benedict, maybe you can tell us where you find Kabugizi.
Thank you so much. Kabugizi, we are located on Chambogo Road. There's a complex building, room A13, and that's on all our branding materials. You'll be able to get us, and as well as our contacts which are available. All our branding materials plus Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Kabugizi Enterprises Limited. Thank you so much.
We all know where URA is found. They can even find you where necessary. But Mr. Hire, maybe where can CIC be found? I would like to have Mr. Peter and Miss Diana, if you're here. Please come.
Yes, thank you. CIC, you can find us just here at Lodell Road on AHA Towers. The general section is on the first floor, and the life is on the second floor, just here, AHA Towers, almost opposite Ministry of Health. But also we have a branch network in Mbarara, in Kasese, in Mbale, and also we have an office in town here, our sales office here at Tobani Center. So at least we have also a country-wide network in some of the major districts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Peter, are you here? Yes, please. Peter has a comment, I think, about your experience with Kabugizi. And I think Diana is also here. Diana? She didn't make it? Okay. Peter, please, in 1 minute, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe I should say I am a happy customer of, I should say, Ben. I first met him when he was not Kabugizi Enterprises, when he was still working at SBT, and I want to tell you that I went there without knowing what I wanted. But just like he was saying, consultants, he took me through a number of vehicles, and I landed on my very lovely Subaru, which had a mileage of, you said it was actually 38,000. It was as good as new. And ever since then, I have bought a number of items through him. And I must say I'm happy. And I think through me, he has, I think he has had a number of clients or referrals through me. And Engineer Moses, I know you want something, please. Kabugizi be on him until he gets the Parado. And I am happy to see Engineer Opio Kenneth here. I'm sure the items are going to be through Kabugizi this time. So thank you so much for this. Keep it up. And keep advising us, keep loving us, and we love you as well. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you so much. And that is one happy customer. We want to hear more of these. I'm sure if we were to pass the microphone around, there are many people who would say good things. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end. We only have a cake cutting, which we shall do later after the meal. But I'd like to announce that our lunch is now ready. And would allow for you to interact here in the meantime. I will just guide that there's an usher who will come and show you your serving point as and when it is ready. But I'd like to invite the panel, maybe you can lead the way. Just step out of that door. And on your left, you'll find the serving point. And all the others will be collected once the line is available for you. Please enjoy your meal. I beg your pardon? I think a group photo for everybody here. Can we fit here? Okay. Benedict, you can guide.
Okay, maybe you can have a display, those who can get closer. Do you have a photo? Mark, Mr. JB, I also want to take this opportunity to introduce a few people here. Mr. JB, he's my Muko, he marries my sister. And one of the key notable things is the one picked me on my first day to come to campus. Even the application form that I filled going to Chambogo and Makere, they admitted me, I didn't go. He's the one who is driving me in his very nice Raum. I don't know where it is. But he's to drive us in his very nice Raum, and he takes us through Chambogo, and he's like, you go, study after studying, come here in the bond and pick a car. Yes. And I'm happy that, sir, I picked the car. And I'm still making others pick cars. So Mr. JB is a businessman. He runs a school, an international school called Arete School. It's in Sonde. Those who have kids want to have international syllabi. Mr. JB is always here, and quite a number of other businesses. And also to introduce is Mr. Engineer Were Moses. He's an engineer at NEMA, as well as Engineer Engineer Peter Opio.
Can just wave.
Sorry, Kenneth Opio, who is a friend to Happy Peter. Yeah, thank you so much. Also, the Worship Harvest Business Network. Those who have not employed Worship Harvest, we have a very strong business school, and part of the skills really that have brought this business up here attend from Worship Harvest. So we always meet for garage attendance, what we call business garage, where we have expos of serious businessmen who speak sense into us with most of the people around us. With Pastor Joseph Mulindwa, he's also in the building, and there are quite a number of school teachings in business development and initiation from the days Christ. So it's not a spiritual space that someone has to look at as just a spiritual space, but the main intention is to ride business and improve people's economies. So I have mentioned that. Mr. Innocent Tumwesje is a senior economist. He's also around. Mr. Bagonza Dixon, my senior OB. Mr. and Mrs. Baraka in the building. I had introduced Mr. Nyombi, who is from Sifao, Uganda. We are so much honored. And those who want zero mileage cars is at your service. And the rest we shall be interacting as we have this dinner. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll now hand over to the DJ. And again, as mentioned, lunch is served. We'll be serving from the outside as guided by the team.
The introductions are still ongoing. Just to recap. This is core family. My wife and kids, they're here. Those are the biggest pillars. They have been there from scratch, and they are still there. And to speak, my wife is also a director at Kabugizi Enterprises. She's really a strong pillar. We've argued, counter-argued, agreed, disagreed. You start with this, you end with this, but eventually we agree. I don't know, madam, she's straight there. That's my wife. And the boys, you've been seeing them running around here. They are running like Subarus around cars. Yes, also Mr. and Mrs. Benjamin, my big brother here, he's in the building. And the Madame Julian, they're also there. We've worn the same shirts from primary, changing that my mother could not tell whose shirt is this. So yeah, that's it. We have Madame Mulunji Doreen. She's a prominent businesswoman dealing in timber and blocks. Those are buildings. She has those timbers called 99. Okay? She even delivers the dough. Yeah, she's a small lady driving a big car. Sometimes you have to wonder how she... Yeah, she's Madame Doreen Fumura, and she's a prominent businesswoman. She was supposed to come with her husband, but she didn't make it. But we are so much honored. Doreen, greetings to Brian. So she does timber. Those who want quite a timber for construction, yeah, you really be in touch with her. The rest, I think, we will interact as you go on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy your meal, everyone. And once again, thank you for coming. We shall converge for the cake cutting and some group photos as the afternoon goes. DJ? Okay. I've also been guided, ladies and gentlemen, that we have token of appreciation for some of our clients. Please, after your meal, do hang around. Miss, I think I'll share the list as we go along. Okay.
She done the my back. She done the move, she done the wine back. I like her. Shining like a star. a shadow ever doubt. Our ship will stand afloat. Girl, you are a queen to me. Yes.
And I'm so proud that you're my king.
You bring our visions to reality. Yeah.
And now you are my shining star.
Call me sugar, call me baby.
Yes, I'll call
Call
you
me papa, call me dada.
whenever I need
Call
you.
me anytime you need me.
Oh,
Call
Richie,
me every time you want me.
come to me.
Call me honey, call me baby.
Yes, I will.
Call me sugar, call me dada.
I'll always call you.
Heaven open up and bless us. Our love is blazing like a bird. She wants to be like them people on TV. She wants to look like them girls in the magazine. She got big dreams. She see herself on the big screen. She asks, do you love me? I say you're just right. Absolutely, I love you just the way you are, girl. You don't have to change, you don't have to do a thing, no, just the way you are, girl. If you put on a powder, if you take off a pound, ooh, just the way you are, girl. Wake up with no makeup when I break up, just the way you are, girl. In my eyes, you're a star, girl. Hey, she fit me, and she give me love plenty. Yeah, she authentic. This are the real thing, this are the plastic. See, I got big plans. I you flipping my wife, I'm not your husband. She said, what is it you like about me? Mr. Woman, you're not fit, change nothing. I love you just the way you are, girl. You don't have to change, you don't have to do a thing, no, just the way you are, girl. If you put on a pound or if you take off a pound, babe, just the way you are, girl. Wake up with no makeup when I break up, just the way you are, girl. And in my eyes, you're a star, girl. Yeah. Oh, ooh, yeah. Hey, star girl. Shallow. Hey. Sure. My girlfriend so classy, yeah. With the brains and the body of a champion. She a my Miss World, me a the Mr. Man. And she broader than a Kardashian. Me dey even watch TV. In a me heart, me have a beauty queen. No man no lucky like me. I'm blessed to have you, my baby. I love you just the way you are, girl. You don't have to change, you don't have to do a thing, no, just the way you are, girl. If you do you believe in love? How crazy it could be, baby, baby, stop. Take it easy. When you leave, I swear I can't breathe. Do you really care, baby? Even wonder your home is up. You are my fantasy, my only desire. Kutekereza nijoro bitumana Cynthia, 'cause you make me fall in love, darling, darling. If you touch me one more time, I might lose my mind. Baby, it's too much here. Can we go slowly? 'Cause I can't take it. 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 Give me your attention. 'Cause you got my affection. Baby, baby, and so good to taste. Taking us step by step on the beat. Put your night hand in hand in the street. Sing it. Shoki arrow, baby, straight to the heart. When I know to know the dance and then sabalala. And slowly I might be falling in love. I will never ever take you for granted. Tu mama bidi ne yo toke selesa. You want it on the beat alone and you come better. On your camera nga tenza nyina. Kale roni no kukulaba. Sebuli kendi na chito baby. Amukwana kendi na mugo baby. Sebuli kendi na chito baby. My baby pretty pretty like a rose star. Sebuli kendi na chito baby. Amukwana kendi na mugo baby. Sebuli kendi na chito baby. My baby pretty pretty like a rose star. Baby malam, malam, malam muga kongere ndala. My baby malam, malam, malam muga kongere ndala. Omulungi bwe bibanga binyuma, ebiba binyuma tusana nga ne tubiddamu. Kasinema bwe kabanga kanyuma, akaba kanyuma tusana nga ne tukaddamu. Omutima gwange obanga obagala kutwale, obanga obagala kutwale. Obulamu bwange obanga obagala kutwale, obanga obagala kutwale. Sebuli tenina kikyo baby, omukwano gwe nina mugo baby. Sebuli tenina kikyo baby, my baby pretty pretty like a rose flower. Sebuli tenina kikyo baby, omukwano gwe nina mugo baby. Sebuli tenina kikyo baby, my baby pretty pretty like a rose flower. Olutira omutima gwange waggulira ku bbata. Abalijja kikerezi balitusanga ku mbaga. Ojjanga ne nkusiigira omugati gwa bbata. Kacaayi ka mudala sini mu kikopo kya gama. Bino shuwa wama baby jota. Onyweza nga kyokudde wakudde jota. Gwe waddira omuzannyo n'obugaziya. Owanike eri gye batatuuka. Sebuli tenina kikyo baby. Omukwano gwe nina mugo baby. Sebuli tenina kikyo baby. My baby pretty pretty like a rose flower. Sebuli tenina.
If you feel like you have me wrapped up around your little finger, you're wrong. And everybody feel as if you lick me chip and I'm programmed to you. Think you alone can love me and I'll be broken if you walk out. But anytime you decide to pack up your things and leave, don't come back. One go. Don't come back. I won't cry. I'll be fine. Don't come back. Anytime you're ready, when you're ready for me to go. Don't come back. No matter make you do a ritual where the good Lord split you. Don't come back. Roses are red, but life is real. This love is gone toxic and the poison weed. No need to play any games anymore. You're kinda loving, not loving to me. Drifting now, we're drifting. Remember when we were one? This ship is sinking. If we don't bail out, we're gonna drown. My cup is overflowing. I've had enough now. So anytime you decide to pack up your things and leave, don't come back. One go. Don't come back. I won't cry. I'll be fine. Don't come back. Anytime you're ready, when you're ready for me to go. Don't come back.
When you not impressed, make a holder. When she come into my zone, so man I beat it like a conga. You know, say when they look for donor, so make you quickly tip me on your toner. I'm ready for your show now, so we could go now. Wine up, wine up, wine up. Zunguza, left, right, left, up, down, to the center. Wine up, wine up, wine up. Zunguza, left, right, left, up, down, to the center.
Last time, gonna kusaba kumanya. Wambie,
say tenchem, tenchem, tenchem. Him say me cancel, ASEM, over dantem. Pity ano.
I will never leave you. Baby, girl, believe me. Kama Sutra, I'll teach you. Baby, make it kiss me. Wine for me, go down for me, grace, yo. Oh, you take all my money and put them for your waist, yo. Sika ufie, sika wa bank, sika ufie, sika wa bank. Oh, money in the bank, money in my pocket, money in the bank, money in my pocket. Sika ufie, sika wa bank, sika ufie, sika wa bank. Oh, money in the bank, money in my pocket, money in the bank, money in my pocket. Baby, I fly you out to USA, free shopping on me, Kigali, Nairobi. Lego, romantic escape. I will never leave you. Baby, girl, believe me. Kama Sutra, I'll teach you. Baby, make it kiss me. I will never leave you. Baby, girl, believe me. Kama Sutra, I'll teach you. Baby, make it kiss me. Wine for me, go down for me, grace, yo. Oh, you take all my money and put them for your waist, yo. Sika ufie, sika wa bank, sika ufie, sika wa bank. Oh, money in the bank, money in my pocket, money in the bank, money in my pocket. Sika ufie, sika wa bank, sika ufie, sika wa bank. Oh, money in the bank, money in my pocket, money in the bank, money in my pocket.
Obama, me send the Western Union. And I'm into me bunye mobile money. Open the cash and now tell me your opinion. Me sign the check and throw with your money. Me catch the doors and tell you me tip me. Say me give a doom not that my mother will flow me diamond. Family have a bank account and so go to me very other time. Me be the go down the bank the code me dear the pine.
Sika ufie, sika wa bank, sika ufie, sika wa bank. Oh, money in the bank, money in my pocket, money in the bank, money in my pocket. Sika ufie, sika wa bank, sika ufie, sika wa bank. Oh, money in the bank, money in my pocket, money in the bank, money in my pocket.
What if I say, make you come chill with me in my place? When you go fi come, maybe this Friday. Me and you will be chilling in my room. We go listen to some songs and my beats biting. Maybe we could do this to the midnight test. Yeah, because I want you, yes I want you. Yeah. And every day girl I be missing you. You know 15 I say you they miss me too. Cause I know say now my music you they listen to. Your pictures on my wall everywhere, in my house, in my parlor, in my room, in my kitchen too. Baby girl, you know say me I see you. Yeah, because I love you, yes I love you. Oh yeah, baby, give me love, oh yeah. Jawa, baby, give me love, oh oh oh. Oh yeah, baby, give me love, oh. Give me love, baby, give me love, oh. Give me love, oh yeah. Give me love, oh, give me love, oh. Oh yeah, baby, give me love, oh. Put me down, baby. Oh, give me love, oh yeah. Give me love, baby, give me love, oh yeah. Give me love, oh yeah. What if I say, make we not be friends, make you be my babe? Cause I done the fall and it be like say, me and you, we go run away, we go America in the midnight train. Your mommy doesn't even want to see my face, baby, and I love you, yes I love you. Ooh, ooh. Come to my hood, many fine girls, but now you I choose. I know the guys want to steal my boo. They get the money and they get the body, but nobody else will feel my shoes. Baby, girl, you know, say na me and you. Yeah, and I got you. You know I got you. Yeah, oh, baby, give me love, oh.
tusimbe waka nyagala kubikole kati nyagala tuzine mutu nyagala tusimbe waka nyagala tukumwe tutik
Hello, radio man. Imagine the was wacky and die. Hello, Opulira man. Oh, guys. Radio man. Disco, no runners. Ongeza disco. Ongeza combo what the sakala mo disco. Every girl a crop a man, what's me there, yo escort. And this a bit too, you bless it on the billboard. You on the billboard. Radio man. Zanyira. Zanyira kayimba kali. Radio man. Zanyira.
one more time
One more time, me gonna visit it. One more time, me peel a jabby cake. And one more time, me play the song. And one more time, me gonna visit it. Turn up the vibe and don't be uptight. In the dirty baby, does it to go with ya? Oh na na na, oh na 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 na. Turn up the vibe, yeah yeah. Oh na na na, oh na 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 na. Turn up the vibe, yeah yeah. Oh na na na, oh na 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 na. Turn up the vibe, yeah yeah. Oh na na na, oh na 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 na. Turn up the vibe, yeah yeah. Obude uziba, tusibye tukola. Tonenya bosinka nangane kubya. Emyaka jita akasento tereka. Lababoza wabalala ne bazirwanira. Blood is upuka, kola yentegeka. Plan for tomorrow, don't forget to live today. Life is a mystery, study history. Ojakuzula nti banja bakoze sobi. And so try to balance a little romance. Turn up the vibe, yeah. And so I try to balance a little romance. Turn up the vibe, yeah. Turn up the vibe, turn the volume up. Tinibachali kwagala kunyumirwa. Oh, turn up the vibe and don't be uptight. In the dirty baby, does it to kumidia? Oh na na na, oh na 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 na. Turn up the vibe, yeah. Oh na na na, oh na 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 na. Turn up the vibe, yeah. Oh na na na, oh na 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 na. Turn up the vibe, yeah. Oh na na na, oh na 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 na. Turn up the vibe, yeah.
Fawa iwera tuliogerwa konti fawa linenja ulo Mwe twachanga lwe chakwata twateka wenja ulo Well me like the life of the party Tonda bakwenga kongoja Na chusi zane dobozi kubana koyo kunkopa Ndikenja kalo kubile tuni Ola bebwengu bwebwena Nga wenyumirwe bechara Kabiri mudisco byenywera Me love the life of the party I saw me live it up Me happy so me never give it up And when the chorus come up Every girl a getting up So me tell me church if you will it up Hello
Turn up the vibe, turn the volume up. Tinibachali kwagala kunyumirwa. Oh, turn up the vibe and don't be uptight. In the dirty baby, does it to kumidia? Oh na na na.
My baby, my Valentine. Can I hit the make you a temperature rise? If you leave me a good time, I swear. You are like the oxygen I need to survive. I'll be honest. Loving the thought of me, I am so obsessed. I want to chop your heart. Never did it back at this shit. Open up, make us feel love. Yeah, my love, one thing. Me make the bad man sing.
Pounds and dollars I go spend for your head. Talk all they want, I don't care what they say, cause your matter. Now him I con the carry for my head every night. And you I want the carry to my bed, oh no no. Don't tell me no no no. You can be my partner, never riding solo no. And we got no one lucky, no need to party wo. I feel it what you're doing, oh yeah baby, gotta go. Your body they back at me, sweet. Open up, make I see. Now you where they got my fancy. Don't they do me, I give party. Oh no 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 no. Fresh, no kill nobody. I no be a G-Bullies in a party I dey go so. For this party I go rock my co. I dey pray say everybody go dey feel my flow. I beg you no go dull my ginger. Oh. So brother mommy I want happy myself. Feel alright. Take one day I don't play for you. Happy yourself. Feel alright. Tell them say I don't play for you. I want happy myself. Feel alright. Take one day I don't play for you. Happy yourself. Feel alright. Tell them say I don't play for you.
Mapenzi ya moyoni mwangu joto baridi yanapeta kwenye hali kaidi, ndo maana acha mtori nikupe nyama kuniuzaga wala mie sizimi, wanipende nidekeze maidi, ndo maana chiti kidogo nikupe lana. Oh my, oh na ukinigusa never feel shy, utamna mizuka ya mapenzi haya. Oh no, yeah. Oh my, tena usijaribu mintadai kunichezea kuniacha hiyo kitu mbaya. Oh no, yeah. See, I got all the eyes for you, and I wanna put my hands on you. Me, I cannot do anything bad to you, but I can do anything bad for you. One number. Oh yeah. Nishakupa one number. Oh yeah.
Do me nice, do me good, do me well, judge. Now you are the vibe, then now you be my remedy. Give me good vibes, give me positive energy. Me, I can't ever leave you for nobody. Salema, Luwaka, Malaka, give me some, come and play. Just shit like every day. See, I got only eyes on you, and I wanna put my hands on you. Me, I cannot do anything bad to you, but I can't do anything bad for you. I got only eyes on you, and I wanna put my hands on you. Me, I cannot do anything bad to you, but I can't do anything bad for you.
One number. Oh yeah. Buy me armor. Oh yeah, can you give me $? I wanna be your baby mama. Oli muzuri sana.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to call you back in for one final ceremony as we conclude our event. One, we're going to cut our cake to officially launch Kabugizi Motors. But also, we'd like to appreciate you for joining us on this very auspicious occasion. So, Benedict, I'm going to just ask you to join me here and hand over some tokens of appreciation to a list of clients that I have received. And as I read your name, please come. Maybe you will stand there. Please join us. Okay, I will start by reading Miss Diana Nambatia. If you're here, please join us and come and receive your token of appreciation from Kabugizi Motors. Benedict. Following Miss Diana, I'd like to invite Mr. Happy Peter Mulwanyi. Okay, maybe Regan, I've been asked to invite you to hand over also. After Mr. Happy Peter Mulwanyi, Mr. Kenneth Opio. Mr. Kenneth Opio. Be on standby. I need some assistance maybe from the team. Any of the ushers help us to deliver these gifts so that we proceed quickly. After Mr. Kenneth Opio, Mr. Opio Joffrey. Please clap for them, please, as they receive. These are Kabugizi clients who are being appreciated. Mr. Opio Joffrey is not around. I'll have Mr. Owundo Sam. I think I saw you. Mr. Owundo Sam. A big round of applause for him too. Mr. Tumwesije Francis is not around. Miss Esther Kavuma. Miss Esther Kavuma, big round of applause for her. She comes. Thank you for your service. Mr. Tumuhimbise Raymond is not around. Miss Doreen Candy, also not around. Miss Asimwe Juliet. Okay. Mr. Isaac Etot. Okay, not forgetting Mr. Maliamungu Humphrey. Okay, these are upcountry clients. Mr. John Bosco Gumisiriza. Mr. John Bosco Gumisiriza. He's also been a guardian to Ben, as he explained earlier. Pastor Chris Kawesa. Pastor Chris Kawesa. He's not here, but there's a representative to take it. Go and stand there and take the photo. Okay, well done. And last but not least, Mr. Were Moses. Mr. Were Moses. Come and receive. Congratulations again. And I'm sure these shall be repeat clients. So, Ben, before you sit, we have a cake in front of us. We need to cut it. So please join us. The panelists, the directors of the company, and all well-wishers, please join us around this table. And let us cut this cake, Ben. DJ, some music. Madame Cleopatra. Our panelists, please join us. Mr. Bush. DJ, I hope you're ready. Okay, let's gather quickly. Mr. John Bosco, join us also. Panelists, join us. Any other well-wishers, please join us. And we're going to count down from 100 to 50 to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and congratulations on the official launch of Kabugizi Waters. Please make sure you have a piece of this cake before you leave.
A celebration to last throughout the
sagananda ddala kimanyi nti saakugalabanja yali birabo ya dano gali mapenzi ya dano ogwo gwali mukwano bukwano naye kuno njagala katano.
She was a romantic girl. Why you wanna do me like that? Why you wanna break my heart? Why you wanna fool me? Yeah. You say you wanna leave me. Yeah. Why you wanna break me? Why?
Omuwala, 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 oyo omuwala.
Dunda dunda, why you let me dunda dunda? Dunda dunda, why you let me dunda dunda?
Wandeka teno surawo webyagana ate nokomawo.
Oh, baby, you no longer my baby lover, no longer my lover, no longer my baby. You, yamenye mutima omuwala,
Omuwala,
oh.